Hello, 4,009 subscribers. These are 28 ways how e-commerce brands can benefit from the AI revolution. We'll talk about content and system-based use cases, chatbots, voice AI agents, and marketing-based use cases. I have 8 years of experience of running, managing, and launching e-com products and brands. I do have 2 brands myself. We sell primarily on Amazon and Etsy. We do have the website, but we don't usually run traffic there. And currently I run an AI agency called Quimple, so I know both worlds. That's why it's clear for me of actual use cases, actual ways how AI can be implemented, and the gimmick ways that everyone is trying to sell you. When we talk about content, a lot of people and brands already use it for photos, UGC, copywriting, SEO, and renders. But the UGC is a bit questionable because usually it involves first generating an avatar and then this avatar showing the product. So it's kind of in advanced. I predict that in 1 to 2 years, maybe like 3. In 3 years, it's going to be in mainstream, and it's will be very hard to differentiate where is the actual person and where's like the AI generated thing. There's obviously softwares like Creatify that kind of allow you to do the same thing, but these are usually not the creators that actually have something in their hands because it's very complex task. But the softwares like Photoroom make it super easy to create really high quality photos, which are just like very hard to differentiate where's like the actual thing and where's the AI generated part, especially with all the shadows, all the backgrounds that are possible to do. We're actually using Photoroom ourselves a lot for most of the images. For example, these ones, as you can see on the first photo, these backgrounds were generated in actual like Photoroom by one of the employees using, I think, the Photoroom app on the mobile. So it's like very easy, and there's no way you'll think that these are AI generated. But obviously it really depends on the product. If you're selling, for example, apparel like us, it's kind of a different story because you need to show people. But again, as I said, a few years and we'll be able to provide a digital avatar that will take photos with our products on them and make a really good renders out of it. Since I sell on Amazon, as you can see, this is a screenshot from an Amazon Seller Central. They introduced, I think a few months ago, the option to generate listings right away. So you provide a description and they can even generate images, which are pretty basic still, but this can be a good starting point for the people that are starting to sell. Obviously, this is not a valid way to fulfill like complete your listing just because of the SEO purposes, and you need to do an in-depth keyword research. This is not what we use, but as you can see, these companies start to integrate AI into their workflows and systems. Same thing with Shopify. I think maybe they already introduced it like 5 or 6 months ago, where you can generate the product descriptions. And I think you can even generate some of the images even with the background. So something like on the Photoroom, but Photoroom is just better. So these are a really good kind of use cases for you to use if you are an e-commerce owner. If you are like me who sells AI things, this is probably not something that you can offer the brands to do because it's very, again, straightforward. Most of the systems that they are using already, like Shopify, maybe Amazon, maybe some apps, already introduced the systems. System-based use cases, same thing that I just said. A lot of the management softwares introduce AI into their workflows, especially if they have an app store like Shopify, where you can find hundreds, if not thousands yet, apps that implement AI and help you as a brand owner to use AI in different ways. For example, for the dynamic pricing, predictive inventory management, fraud detection, and sentiment analysis. Obviously, for the pricing, it might sound gimmicky at first, but it actually works. I have a few friends that are, I think, actually using, if I'm not mistaken, this app, and they actually increased their AV by probably 5 to 10%, which is not a lot, but compared to the volume, it is. So, but this is not something that we as agency owners can offer the e-com brands, right? Because this is going to be handled by the software. So that's why it's system based. Usually if they are using even the WooCommerce or Shopify, Amazon, it's like another story. So any of the big platforms to host your stores will be eventually integrating the systems, and things like sentiment analysis or fraud detection will be obviously handled by the systems that handle fraud protection. If we're talking about payments like Stripe or Shopify payments, or sentiment analysis for the reviews, for the there will not be I think standalone applications for this. And if you look closely here on the Klaviyo, this was the introduction where they mentioned a few AI marketing tools that they're introducing, and one of them, if I'm not mistaken, was the actual review sentiment analysis. We've been using this thing as an Amazon owners for already, I think, a year, just because when you are researching a product on Amazon, it's very important to understand what are your key differences. So when you do the research and you're picking the product to sell, right? So once you do the research, you go to the actual product and you see, okay, so what are the reviews, what are the negative, what are people saying, so what can be improved. Again, this is very basic suggestion in terms of just very basic thoughts on the product selection when you're starting to sell something. So, and if you are analyzing a huge niche with a lot of products, with a lot of the reviews, it would be very hard to do that manually. Before, we've been hiring VAs to do this task. Right now, there are softwares where you can literally get the URL of the product, input it there, and it will create a sentiment analysis. There are softwares like Helium 10, which are specifically designed for the Amazon sellers. They have this feature. So what I'm saying is that, again, it's a really good news if you own the e-com brand, if you're planning to use it yourself. These are a really good way, so you can just go to Shopify App Store and type dynamic pricing. I'm not saying that these are the actual things that will benefit your store, because I don't know your use case. But what I'm saying is that eventually it will become very clear that we will use AI to personalize everything from the pricing to the actual ways how we present the product to the final customer. So I do see the world for some of the stores where once the prospect is landing into the website, they have a fully personalized store page with a personalized pricing offers. Again, this is kind of a controversial topic, because if the prices are different for each customer, then there's a lot of room for the manipulation. Plus, it's kind of controversial because some people might get better pricing than others. So it's complaints, whatever. So this is on the legal side. I don't really understand how it works, but it's very doable. This is where everything is coming to. That's why you just need to keep it in mind, and already you might start testing some of the softwares. For the inventory management and the hardcore things, there are a lot of tools, for example, Shipbop, which is a pretty big 3PL that we have been using at one time. They're starting to introduce AI for the predictive analysis, and you can read this article from Katana. They are going in depth into different ways how it can be already used and where it's going to. Now to the fun part, which is not that fun for the AI agency owners, but really fun for the owners of e-com brands, chatbots and voice AI agents. This is probably the first, besides the content, I think. So everyone was hyped about ChatGPT in the e-com space just because they no longer need to hire copywriters to create bullet points, descriptions, and all these things. But when it comes to general perception of AI implementation into the e-com brands, everyone thinks about chatbots. Voice AI agents are not that straightforward, even though they are simpler. The first one is the customer support, which is super obvious. Multilingual support if you offer your services and products to multiple countries, order status, complaints, FAQs, just general help, returns and refunds, and account management. If, for example, you are selling the services that require subscription, or if customers buy regularly in your store and they have an account, they want to check certain things. There are a lot of the things that involved with the account, and we are actually, with even our small to no traffic, we still receive the request where people are asking, okay, so where's my account? How do I reset the password? Where I can cancel the order? Where I can check the status? So all these things can be managed within the chatbot. And again, there are a lot of the different apps that already can provide this type of functionality on the Shopify. I'm not saying that they will do everything perfectly. That's why there are still use cases for the custom chatbot development that we are even doing, and I'm showing in this channel. We have built multiple chatbots for e-commerce stores. Again, I show them on my YouTube, which are super advanced and currently cannot be handled by the apps that are presented on the Shopify App Store. The second thing would be product recommendation systems, which recommend products based on the intent of the user and the problems that they have. This is a customer facing approach when they list the problem that they have. Especially it's relevant for the complex products or for the stores that have a lot of the products and it's very hard to navigate inside the store even though they have a good navigation system. So once they list the problem that they have, you will be able to find the solution to their problem with your product based on the intent. This is what AI can already do, and this is a very good use case already, at least for right now, when it comes to custom AI development, because these pre-built agents are not that great. Their benefit is that they're directly connected to Shopify and you don't need to actually manage the connection between the actual tool and the Shopify, or same thing applies to the WooCommerce. But the disadvantage is that the flows are usually not complex, and if there are a lot of products, if the user custom requests are complex or the products are complex and involve a lot of moving pieces, like technical products with technical documentation, and if customers are asking about these things, this is where the actual custom chatbot development comes in handy. Upsells and cross sells, these are the things where AI will engage with the user. Maybe user asks some questions about the FAQs or tries to get the recommendations, and based on these things you are upselling them something or cross-selling if they already bought the thing and they're asking for the account information. Again, so it's really good. The main problem with chatbots is that you need to engage with the user proactively, right? So you need to make them start chatting with this thing. Sometimes you might need to fake that this is a real human to start so that they start the conversation, because I am pretty confident, especially with our tools that we use, that for the most part, in 90% of the cases, it's very hard to actually say where the human is and where the AI. So customers don't really care if it's human or a robot if it helps them out. So your main goal would be to make them engage. Okay, voice AI agents, same thing. Customer support, these are very rare cases where Shopify owners and brands provide support through the voice assistant, either for bigger brands, either for luxury products, or with a specific specific related categories that needs to have a phone number on their website. That's why the use cases are the same thing. You can connect if you're building a custom bot, because for right now, I think there's no way to do it here. And this is actually a use case, a really good use case for AI agencies to build voice AI agents for e-commerce brands. The problem is that, as I said, for the most part, 95% of the brands don't really need it. Or if they need it, they would have an actual human who's doing the thing, or a multiple representatives. So you would need to build a system that actually provides the benefit to them so that they can lay off these people. They'll still need to have someone on the call, someone there, so that AI can transfer it to the real human. Again, it really depends on the use case. Churn subscribers calls. This is one of the best ways to use a voice AI agents. And once we're going to talk about the actual very specific things that we are implementing to our clients as AI marketing agents, which is very custom based AI solutions for e-commerce brands, one of the things is it helps them with the churn subscribers. Obviously, there are a lot of different flows and schemes that brands use to re-engage with the churn subscribers and minimize the churn and increase the retention. with the softwares like Klaviyo, with the SMS marketing and email campaigns. The problem is that it usually doesn't really work that well, just because if the person cancel, it means that they're not satisfied with the product, usually not with the experience. So if they're not satisfied with the product, it's very hard to make them satisfied. Again, there are use cases where they are not satisfied with the actual experience they get, with the actual results they're getting if you are selling a transformation product, maybe like a supplement. But there are ways to use it. Again, it's very specific. We're working with very specific brands that will benefit from the solution. That's why it's not for everyone, but when it is the case, it's working really well. Reorder reminders, okay, so it really based on the use case. For example, when we are talking about the subscription-based businesses, when the customers are buying the subscription, they connect their cart, and maybe when the cart is not going through, you can technically send the reminders through the voice AI that your cart needs to go through to complete the purchase. Again, if it's smaller tier products, maybe customers do not want these calls, but if it's higher tier, they would want a customer human representative. There are, again, use cases for it. You just need to keep it in mind. Then the confirmation calls, these are essentially the same things when you are confirming some of the details with the customer. These are especially same thing with this one. These are very, very specific use cases. And for me as an agency owner, it's getting harder and harder to implement AI solutions into the brands. This is a negative side. From the positive side, we are focusing on actually driving the results and making the business more money and not just saving time. That's why, things like, as I already said, AI marketing agents come in handy, because there is no way you would do the same thing with the pre-built apps from the store, or with the apps that just connect to your system and helps you with one specific thing, because this is a suite of things. But again, we are not working with anyone, just because it's very hard to find a use case for a brand if it's a general store which is not doing over a few $1 million in revenue and they can handle everything manually. When we talk about marketing approaches, these are personalized email campaigns, SMS campaigns, and ad campaign analysis. Again, these are the things that are handled by the current software. So personalized email campaigns, things like Klaviyo, they are introducing, I think some personalization feature we're not actively using, in our brand Teneri or with another supplement brand that I'm selling. We're not actively using Klaviyo ourselves because we're selling on Amazon, but this is the most popular software for the e-com brands, and I know that a lot of our clients use them. So they introduce the AI personalization feature, and it's gonna get better and better. The same way as I told you that once you're gonna land on the website, you'll have a personal landing page. It's super controversial, not really sure how it will be done, but I predict that it will be. So I really imagine the world where once you land to the website again, or you receive something in your inbox, you will have the people that actually look and talk like you. For example, like me, I'm Russian speaking, so I have a bit of an accent, and I do see when people are Russian speaking because of their English accent for the most part. So imagining the world where there will be a video with a UGC with a person who I feel like he's Russian, he looks Russian to me, and I will be more relatable to him. So this is the future. This is where everything is coming from. I don't think that for us as an agency owner, there's a way to utilize this and sell it to the businesses, beside the fact that we can sell the consultancy and the implementation, the coaching. By the way, I do have the coaching for the e-commerce team. I do help them to implement the AI. Besides the fact that we build them the solutions, I coach the teams to use AI properly. So if you need the link in the description. So same thing with a MailChimp. All the bigger players are already implementing all these features. Now to the actual fun part, AI marketing agents. This is the term that I have created based on my experience and based on reframing all the things that we done. Essentially, we have a RAG knowledge base, which is just you can think about it as a like vector store that has all the information about your business, products, and customers. Then you have a text-based assistant, which is like built on VoiceFlow. This RAG knowledge base can be built on either Python or VoiceFlow. You have voice assistants, and you have all the connection through, like, for example, Make. So you have all these tools in your toolkit as an AI agency, or again, if you're building it yourself, you just like can think and visualize it that there's like a knowledge base, text-based, voice-based, and AI tools. So once you have everything in like all this suit together, you can now create a very unique campaigns to try to sell more products and increase revenue in your business or in the business of your client. You can think about it as the inbound or outbound efforts, and outbound obviously is more relevant and important just because you are reaching the customer and you are offering them something and not just waiting passively for them to do something. The first use case is the wingback agent. These are the reactivation agents that I already mentioned here for the churn subscribers. I showed one of them on this video where I was going over the use case that we're currently building for a client. Again, like you can imagine it being an agent that is working for a brand that sells subscriptions or the products that require regular purchases, and once the customer cancels the subscription, or once the trigger can be made once the customer doesn't make the purchase within like a few weeks after he should, you can start reaching out to this customer through all of these channels based on like this RAG knowledge base and based on the connections. So you have the connections, now you have all the information about the customer, and here you have all the information about the business. So text-based agents can reach out through the SMS and email, and voice AI agents can leave the voice notes as well as call the prospects. So you are trying with all of your channels reach one customer and make them do a certain thing, right? For example, it could be to try to reactivate them to actually stick with us. Sometimes it's not possible. That's why it's also very important to understand why to gather essentially like feedback. As an agency owner, this is not something that I sell because it's very hard for me to sell a business something for the feedback collection because it's not directly correlated with the business. That's where we're building an agent that is trying to bring more money at the same time gathering the feedback. This is the one thing. Second thing is the upsells. We already talked about it when we were discussing the chatbots, and the upsells is a very regular thing in the Shopify App Store. If you go to somewhere here, I made a screenshot. If you type the upsell, you will have a huge amount of things, and there are a lot of the different widgets on the store that you can implement. This is not the upsells that I'm talking about. I'm talking about usually the high ticket upsells, like very specific use case. We have a few clients that are selling the products and then they are upselling either like a coaching or high ticket physical product item to their existing clients. They obviously don't do it to everyone. The customer needs to be qualified first. But this is what AI agent can do. He can either qualify the prospect, can analyze the prospect history and understand if this is something that he'll benefit from, and then reach out through all of these channels to try to make the actual, to try to create an actual touch point so that our closers then can close their client. Again, for the upsells, there are a lot of different ways to use it. You can use it for the regular purchases, but I'm not sure if customers would want, for example, if you're selling a $20, $30 product, if they want a phone call of the AI offering them another $20 product, right? So it needs to be a use case. And then the engagement. So it means that this agent will proactively engage with the user, trying to actually start the conversation with the things like the pop-up messages, where instead of just having the chatbot, you will have something pop up unique to each page, unique to the product and the content they already visited. So why you left this page? You don't like it? So we have this. So you can automate this part, and with the actual full page embed. So as you can see, there's a goalie and all of the still customers, all of the client, all of the e-commerce brands use the FAQs with the to provide some information to the customers, and it's very helpful. But the thing is that you can implement a standalone widgets in different parts of your website, which will be an agents, right? So there will be, for example, a widget here that instead of like clicking this chatbot box, people can actually chat with it here. Or this could be like the same thing, but once the prospect is like clicking this button, there could be like a full page widget pops up answering this question and asking users something, trying to re-engage, right? And trying to get all of the details.